I was, there we go. Okay. Um, shall we get started? Tell me when you want to get started.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Let me get her. Yes. Our topic today is the God complex. Well, we wished at first to call it the God complex, but this one felt that name was facetious. Now, before we get into the topic, we wish to remind you that we are not omnipotent, that we continue to learn just as you continue to learn, that just as we are to this one, there are those who are the same to us, and them to others, and so on and so on. For example, many years ago, this one, when doing autotyping, referred to an entity called Argus, whom she calls Argus. And Argus is to us as we are to this one. And there are those who are the same to Argus, you see, and it goes on and on. And each time, whether we are in a physical form or not, there is learning that is taking place. You see, this never stops. We continue to learn. And whether we are in a physical form or some other form, the learning will continue. Um, Not necessarily in words. You see, as we have said many times before, and as others have said, words are a poor form of communication, one of the poorest. But it is what we deal with in this particular reality. And so, this is what we must use to discuss matters with you. Now, in addition, we discuss with you using the most commonly accepted form of your reality past. In other words, when we speak to you and we say, oh, this happened or that happened, or your belief is in this or that many years ago, you understand we do not mean many years ago because all of your experiences, all of our experiences are simultaneous. But in order to discuss certain subjects with you, it is important. That we use a linear reference to aid in our understanding. Now, the first thing I expect, the first thing we expect you may have as questions are, is there indeed a God? Yes? And we will answer to you yes and no. In that, there is not a God in the way that many of you uh, believe or have believed, especially over the centuries, that you have created. You see, there is not some great entity sitting on a cloud somewhere watching everything you do and passing judgment. Now, judgment, you see, is a creation of humans. We know that you understand this, and we wish to state it again. There is within the universes no good, no bad. There is only action. We find that the human hubris is amazing to us. You see, you sit there and you say, "Oh, my every move is being judged." And the intelligence that has created the universe uh, personally pays attention to me, you see, and this gives us a pause. We wish you to understand that the intelligence that you call God, if indeed were omnipotent, it would need to follow not only humankind, but all life on all planets in the universe, including in the space between universes. You see, space is not empty. You will have scientists who will say to you, "Oh, there is nothing from the atmosphere of the Earth to the atmosphere of some other planet, that space is empty, that it is a vacuum." And we tell you, no, this is not true. There are no vacuums in reality. There are none. There are simply alivenesses that you cannot perceive with the senses that you generally use. Now, throughout the centuries, throughout your centuries, uh, beginning before actually, before cavemen, because there were different civilizations on the earth prior to the caveman. And you have heard of some of them, such as Atlantis and Lumania, etc., etc. And even they had concepts of God, or as some of you call it, all that is, or the great intelligence, or whatever name you wish to give it. And the need to create this comes from human, shall we say, insecurities, desires, to be able to place certain activities outside of oneself, to be able to say, this is not something that I did. This is not something that I wanted. It allows you to blame or praise something outside of yourself. You see, this has gone on for centuries, not only for personal reasons, but for political reasons, for reasons of power. And it is used and has been used since the beginning of time uh, to manipulate. You see, if you believe that you will have to pay for your sins, for example, you will have to be responsible to your ancestors when you pass over. Whatever that belief is, that brings it back to you personally, This is the reason for your creation of gods, or one god, or many gods, which many religions have more than one. Uh, some have thought of God as male, some as female. And when you go through your history, you become very aware of this. Even today, as you go around the globe, you will see a great variety in the belief systems around a God. Uh, mm, Many use their concept of God to allow them to wield great power over others. They will uh, maim or kill or uh, enslave or torture in the name of their God, is what they say. And of course, we understand that those of you who are somewhat enlightened, if we may say, they understand that this makes no sense whatsoever. Um, and so some may become uh, an atheist. They may say, well, there is no God, there's only science. And if you ask them, where then did we come from? You see, always there is in your reality, in human reality, you have the beginning, the middle, the end, right? You are looking at linear time, and so there must be some point at which you can say something started, something was created by. But we tell you no, this is not true, and it doesn't matter what name you give or what your belief system is surrounding a creator. In point of fact, there is no creator, in that you are the creator yourself. And the consciousness that embraces you, that consciousness itself had no beginning, has no middle, has no end. It has only experience, and it places no judgment upon any of this, upon any action, upon any belief, upon anything that you do uh, yourselves and life forms on the trillions of other planets. Mm, we do not pretend to fully understand all of this. For as we said, we, as well as you, are in a constant state of learning. And there are those, we do not like to use a hierarchy, but for ease of communication, we will say there are those above us, higher than us, such as Argus, who are continuing to learn and who know much more about this because they have experienced both physical and non-physical realities. Some have not even had physical realities at all, you see, and their communication takes place without words. So their knowledge is vastly superior to the knowledge that we have. So we would liken this to, let's say you have a child and you are the parent, and then you have parents and they have parents, etc. And as you go onward, you see that the child in no way can understand what the great grandparents are talking about. It's totally alien to them. And this is true also if you are looking at concepts of a creator, that the understanding, you see, continues to grow as you go up of up the chain of consciousnesses. And so even such as we have only a minimal understanding of what the great consciousness, the all that is consciousness, actually is. So we wish you to understand that. We appreciate that having this type of belief, having this creation of a God consciousness is often used to guide you. But this also is done only in terms of the reality that you are focused on, the understanding of what is right, what is wrong, who is the creator, etc. Generally, mm, does not, one moment, generally is not the same throughout time. It changes as your time changes. We would say that in your particular reality, the closest we understand to what we believe is reality would perhaps be pantheism. Now we know there are those who have said it is Buddhism, but we say pantheism because it is our understanding, and you may correct us if we are wrong, but it is our understanding that that takes in all life forms, of respect for all of the life forms that are on the earth, you see, not just the human, but all the animals, all the plants, all the insects, etc., all of which are imbued with a divine, if you will, consciousness of some sort. So again, we wish you to understand that you have created God. It is not that God has created you. It is that you have created God. You have created the understanding of God, and that the consciousness of creation is within each of you and within each living thing. Now, for many, this poses a problem, you see, because if you believe that, if you believe that the consciousness of God is in all living things, then how do you react? How do you kill a bug? For example, even how do you eat a plant? For it is a living thing imbued with consciousness. And again, we say, well, this is one of the problems with belief in certain ways of believing in creation, is not accepting perhaps the reality that you are living in. We speak, for example, let us say you are a vegetarian or a vegan, and you say, "Oh, you know, it's wrong to eat meat." And we say, "Look at yourselves. Will you look at yourselves? You are." Omnivores, you are built that way. Your physical body has need of certain types of nutrients. Your teeth are created to eat certain types of foods. And you can do this from the lowliest of insects to, I don't know, the Pope, to whatever you consider on earth to be a great power. Mm. So we say you must accept what you are. You must accept it and not be constantly putting upon yourselves these types of restrictions and saying, "Oh, I am bad because I did this, or I believe this, or I am superior because I don't do this, or I don't do that. I have uh, the best moral code, you see, and therefore I am closer to God, I am closer to creation." No, you are not. You see, everyone and every living thing is in the same space when it comes to that. You just, it would benefit you to accept who and what you are and to move forward in that way. Now, we are not saying do not pray, do not go to church, do not this or that. You must do what will uplift you personally. You must do what will assist you in growth and in coming to terms with your actions. But the concept of a God that is all powerful and pays attention to your every thought and word and deed is a fiction. It is not that attention is paid specifically to each individual, but that your actions, your beliefs, your thoughts go forward. You see, they go forward and they ripple through, and they ripple through earth, and they ripple through time, and they ripple through different realities, and they are felt. Everything is felt by everything else. We know that this is a huge, huge concept for you to understand. But if you look deep within yourself, you will see the truth of this. Now, we believe that there are questions that may assist you in understanding what we are trying to put forward. So anyone who has questions, please ask now.
I just have just a comment. Um, I can believe that there's no creator yet. There is a creator. There is somewhat that set in motion this energy that creates things as it expands almost. So in that sense, I can see that there's a creator. Yet we all create our own reality as we keep saying. But I think for most people, we have to define. That's the first concept, is to define what God is. Uh, and there are many examples. There are examples of ancient civilizations, like the Anunnaki, who had power to play with our DNA and things like that. So, and I think that's what people are terming God, because they did manipulate our chromosomes so that we could do whatever it is that we're doing now. So I think that's the first thing that we need to understand, the difference between God's, probably with an S, and God singular, that everything is made of, everything in between, herefore, therefore. And I think that's where most people are stuck is, how do we define that?
Well, the first thing that you stated, the first thing that you said, again, implied a linear time, that the God concept had to start somewhere. Again, we understand how difficult it is for those of you in these types of realities, these physical realities, uh, to understand what simultaneous means. No, everything just is. It just is, and it is simultaneous. There was no beginning, there will be no end. You see, it is simultaneous. It ripples, it ripples, it ripples. It does not begin and then end. So it is irrelevant whether there are uh, uh, aliens or whatever manipulating you or playing with your DNA or doing whatever. And again, we find this is quite a bit of hubris in this, where you are not the only civilization in the universe that is impacted by other civilizations in the universe. You see, all of the planets that contain life forms. And in one way or another, this is almost all of them. They're uh, Again, it depends a lot on definitions. What is your definitions of life? You may say, well, we go to this particular planet and all we find are rocks and soils and minerals. And so there is no life on this planet. Yes, there is. There is life. The rocks are life. The minerals are life. The soil is life. Anything that exists, anything, has a consciousness, whether it is a massive, heavy consciousness, according to the way you view it, such as a rock, or whether it is ethereal, such as ourselves. You see, there is nowhere where there is no consciousness. There is no vacuum in reality. And this does not preclude uh, your importance in the scheme of things, the great scheme of things. This does not preclude how important each of you are to the universe. And in fact, deepens that importance. And when you feel that you are being manipulated, again, you cannot just say, oh, well, we create our own reality, but blah, blah, blah. There is no but. You create it, and therefore you accept it. And so if something has happened to you, or you believe something is happening to you, you have invited it. That's all there is to it. You have invited it, whether you like it or not. And we have spoken before about the reasons for inviting certain types of experiences. Not only does it add to all that is, but it ripples through. It often helps others. It helps other selves. It helps other consciousnesses. And whether it is distasteful to you or not is irrelevant in that, because it has been accepted and you are experiencing it, it has some purpose. It has a purpose. And you find again that certain experiences that you may find to be distasteful, others will not find it to be distasteful. Others may say, well, this causes me pain, but you see, that's okay because I am adding to the honor of my people, or whatever. Or perhaps the person is a masochist and enjoys pain. It doesn't place you in a point of having to be defensive, of having to be put upon, to say, oh, this outside source has come and manipulated me. No, no, no. You have invited that manipulation, and that is all there is to it. Do you see?
Yes, I totally agree. I think the words I used came off linearly, but I'm always speaking simultaneously. But what I was also, I usually have to explain the simultaneous lives and the simultaneous civilizations that are impacting us, interacting with us over and over, that most people don't know about. That would they would call that God. Uh, so I
Well,
find I
of
have to
course,
explain
that
that a
has
bit.
said, your concepts of God has changed since the beginning of time, since before, again, we don't like using that term, but we have to, since before the beginnings of your life on earth, these concepts have changed from many gods to one god, to female god, to male god, to animal gods, to whatever alien has come to this planet must be a god because they are more powerful than we are, etc., etc. thus we call it the God concept, you see, the concept, because it constantly changes, and it is the purpose of believing in a God as separate from you, as separate from your body, as separate from your mind. It serves a personal, mm, uh, uh, it serves you personally in your quest for enlightenment, and your quest for understanding what's going on in your life. But in and of itself, it doesn't exist. You see, I mean, the creative force obviously exists and is within you, but it is not that some entity said, "Oh, here I am, and I'm going to create something in a humanoid form so that it can worship me, or so that I can look upon what I have created and feel good about myself." No, it is not that, and you are not being judged. And there are cultures where their God is, there is one, I think it is an American Indian culture, one moment, that believes in God as a giant turtle, was a giant turtle. Um, some place it as a bird. Again, it's in relationship to what you know. The concepts of God that have floated around the earth for centuries are based on the culture and the needs of any particular given mm, mm, um, civilization, any particular given time. Uh, and needs. What are the needs? If I wish to be a conqueror, then I must believe in a God that approves of that. My God is right and your God is wrong. And so we have a right to conquer you, you see. Again, we come back to say to you, there is not an external God. There is a force. There is a rationale, if you will, to creation that you all participate in, and that ripples throughout time and throughout the universes. You see?
Understood.
Other questions, other comments. We know there must be some.
I'm very fascinated on space. When you said we say there's nothing in space, but there's got to be something there.
Yes.
It's just that it's it's not to our knowledge that there's something there. It's so that's why it's like a blank to us, but it's somebody else. It could be they would see something else other than space.
Uh,
Is that right? I understand that there's something there that we just don't see, or we don't comprehend, we don't feel, we can't.
you don't perceive it with the senses that you are currently using. That's
Right.
correct. And many of your instruments will not perceive it either, such as ourselves. Do you have an instrument that perceives us? You don't. You have those like us that speak through people. You say, well, we can hear you, but you cannot perceive us per se. You do have ways of we want to say in a sense understanding what we are, for example, Kirlian photography. But there are so many living entities without physical bodies that are energetic. And because they are energetic only, and some go beyond being energetic, which is a whole nother topic, you're not readily able to perceive them, although occasionally there will be an interaction. Sometimes something occurs that will seem to be mysterious, that people will say, oh, we saw this thing, we heard this thing, this event happened, and we have no way to explain it. And occasionally, some of that is an interaction with non-physical beings coming into a physical space. They have to change themselves a bit in order to do this, just as we have to change our energy a bit in order to interact with this one. And so there are occasionally glimpses, but yes, in essence, what you are saying is accurate. There is not any such thing as a vacuum, and you cannot currently perceive what is in the spaces that you call a vacuum.
Wanda wants to say something? Huh? No? Yeah, you gotta unmute. Wanda, you got to unmute.
Okay, that's better.
Okay.
Mhm.
Eve,
Yes.
I have been listening to you, and what you suggest is that we create our own reality, which expect it's probably true more than it isn't true. So if you create your own reality, then if you don't like it, you have the ability to change it too. Is that correct?
Yes, to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
Because the purposes for your creating something can be quite vast. So yes, of course, you can change it if you don't like it. However, it may be serving purposes not only to you, but to your loved ones, to your ancestors, to your other selves, to selves that you are unaware of. It may be sending out messages to others that are quite purposeful, but you can certainly begin by exploring that, by saying, "Oh, I don't like this. What can I do to change it?" And attempting to change it, and seeing what happens from there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Getting back to space, by sending radio signals, doesn't that mean there has to be something in space in order to receive radio signals from the space station or from the moon or wherever they're at?
We tell you that there is no such thing as a vacuum. What your scientists do with that information is up to them.
I love the idea of communication because I know you can never explain to somebody your feelings of how much you admire them or like them, but if they was able to actually communicate with your feelings, they would understand how much love you would have for that person or how much you admire that person. So I think that's where we kind of have to kind of develop ourselves. I know my first wife said, her teaching, she says, when you cross over, you will have more telepathic communication where you can actually feel everybody's thoughts. And so I'm looking forward to that.
Well, yes, because once you pass over, um, you rarely use words, and you will get to a point eventually, where even emotions do not need to be communicated or confirmed or whatever. Emotions are a human concept, a human reality. It does not necessarily hold that these emotions carry over as you go. Again, we dislike using these terms, but as you go up the hierarchy, yeah, as you become more straight energy, um, emotions do not play as big a part. You will not, for example, find in the reality that most of ourselves inhabit, for you understand, you are speaking with only a small portion of what this person calls Eve. But the majority of ourselves is elsewhere and is not as concerned with emotions. The majority of us does not go, oh, here is the Peter energy, and we have emotions towards that Peter energy. We dislike this part of it. We like this part of it. We whatever. No, we recognize each other. Mm, and we communicate on a different level, a different plane. You will not necessarily, oh, this goes back again to belief of God and afterlife and whatnot. You will not necessarily, when you pass, mm, run into your uh, life mates, your brothers, your sisters, your parents. You will not run into them in that same form. You see, it's not like, okay, this one recently lost. Although that's another term we do not like, her sister recently passed over. Now, she would love nothing more than to think, oh, when I pass, there will be my sister, and she will be exactly as I remember her, and she will greet me and talk with me and show me the ropes. Well, no. You see, no. A small portion of that may occur because you believe it. And because this is one of the jobs, you see, when you pass over, you not only don't stop learning, you don't stop working, if that is a term that we can use to help you understand. You still do things. You do not become a spirit that just lays around, and enjoys being in the clouds or whatever. There are activities that you pursue, such as we are pursuing speaking through this one. All of your mediums and channelers and whatever are interacting with portions of those of us who have passed over. And it is, well, it is a task, but not one that we are charged with. Not, oh, this is your task, you must do this by some outside whatever. We will say, for example, most of us who speak through your channelers, when we had physical life, many of us were writers or teachers or holy men, all of which involves teaching, you see. And so we continue to do this in our new form. Mm, does this answer your question?
Yeah, kind of. I'm still learning.
Kind of.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I'll once I have more knowledge, I guess I can accept more of it. If you know what I mean. I know what you're saying. I know, but,
Oh, once you pass over,
See, I'm looking to be, when I pass over, to be on that white cloud with the harp playing, you know.
Oh, we are sorry. You may actually experience that for a short
Right.
period of time since you are so looking forward to it, but it will not last, you see.
Yeah.
Um, however, when you pass, once again, you do not become all knowing. You see, this is another belief that has crept into many of your religions that once you pass, you know everything, and you are in bliss, and everything makes sense to you. And oh boy, this is the pinnacle of our existence. Sorry, no.
I believe that knowledge is, there is no beginning of knowledge, there's no end of knowledge.
That's correct. There is no end, and you will continue to gain knowledge in all of the forms that you will take as you uh, continue on.
Yeah, that's whole universe, a whole space outlook. There's no beginning, there's no end, and that's the way everything is. It seems to be.
Yes, that's true. More questions, please.
I mean, I'm also under the impression that we can communicate telepathically now. We just don't think we can. We don't practice that we can, and nobody ever tells us that we can. But I believe we can do that now, where we can get your entire message, even if you're not speaking. So I believe we have that ability now. Whether we use it or not, it's a different thing.
Well, we would say that's true again to a degree, because there are energetic changes when you pass on, and as you continue through uh, your hierarchy, your existence in different forms. So the totality of knowledge of any given entity is probably not available to you right now. A large portion of it would be yes, we would say yes, but not the totality, because there are so many energetic changes that take place, and you have not had those changes yet. You see?
Understood. Now, I was meaning about the communicating telepathically, where someone sitting next to you can understand, hear, feel what you're feeling without
Oh,
speaking
yes.
words. And I think we have that ability now. We just don't use it.
Yes, yes, this is true.
Okay. All right. I'm good now. Thank you so far.
More questions?
Well, I have a comment.
Yes,
My little brilliant dog can communicate with me telepathically.
yes, of course.
And I mean, he looks at me, I know exactly what he wants. I know when he wants to go outside. I know when he wants to take a dump. I know when he wants to be fed. And he looks at me with his eyes, and it's telepathic communication because he can't speak, of course. So, I mean, we have a lot
Or
to
does he
learn
have you
from our
trained?
four-legged creatures.
Right, Wanda? Or does he have
Well,
you
in
trained?
order to have me trained, there would have if he had me trained, if that's correct, then at one level there had to be some kind of communications.
Yeah, agreed.
Yes, and we would say that the majority of animals that humans come into contact with
Mm-hmm.
uh, telepathically communicate through pictures or images, and you may not even be aware that you're receiving or sending these pictures, but you are. And so when your beloved dog comes to you and opens his eyes and stares at you, he is sending you a picture of what he wants. You see,
Mhm.
you are accepting that picture and you are understanding that picture. The animal does not need to say it in words. He does not need to bark a certain way to you or whatever. He simply sends you this picture and you understand it and go ahead and take action accordingly. And we will say that your dog in particular, well, many animals, but your dog in particular is very grateful that you do this, that you understand, because so many people do not. The animal will may try and try and try to communicate, and the person just, completely ignores it or has no understanding of it. So those who can do what you do, their animals are very grateful and happy to do this for them.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Sonny.
Okay, more?
Are you able to say anything about why Homo sapiens and say monkeys or apes, why are we so similar yet somehow there's a fusion in the chromosomes? Can you say anything about that? Why are some of our DNA or fused versus ape or chimpanzee? Does that make sense?
Yes, but we are hearing something. We do not know if it is a radio or what. We are hearing something. It is a tiny bit distracting to this one.
Okay, I'll fix that. Okay, so
Okay,
shall I repeat? Okay, go ahead.
we will say again diversity. Yes, you see, all life is related, however divergent it may seem. You may say, I am not related to an ant. I'm not related to, but yes, you are. All reality is related to each other. And on your particular planet, in your particular reality that you're now experiencing, mm, uh, there is much less uh, diversity than you may at first imagine. Again, you may say, well, uh, okay, we have a certain DNA that is similar to that of apes or whatever, but we have nothing in common with the dung beetle. Yes, you do. You do. You have things in common with everything that lives upon your planet, and with many things that do not live upon your planet. And so this desire to separate. We are this class, they are that class. We belong to this phylum and they belong to that one. This may assist you in some way as to understanding who you are and what you are, but basically there is no difference. Consciousness is consciousness. You see, there is no difference other than the differences that you place upon yourself, that you place. Your race it places, your humanity places. Mm, these divisions are arbitrary. And you can point to DNA, you can point to language, you can point to whatever you want. These are these are arbitrary divisions, you see. You could just as easily use another way to define things, to say you don't have to use DNA, you can use something else. You can use brainwave frequencies, you can whatever, make something up to determine. You may say, for example, anything that has 5 fingers belongs to one class of consciousness, belongs to one uh, form, one division, whereas anything that has 4 legs belongs to another, et cetera, et cetera. It all depends on how your reality, how you wish to divide things up for exploration. You see?
Understood. So what I'm trying to reconcile is something physical happened, and when did that happen? Did that happen 250,000 years ago, as far as with our DNA, or did that happen recently? And some entity did that, and who was that, if that is the case? Or was it natural, a natural progression, right? That's what I'm trying to reconcile.
Okay,
Who was that?
we will say this. First of all, it happened now, right? It happened right now.
Correct.
Mhm. So you don't need to say it happened in 1542 or whatever. That doesn't matter. That makes no difference.
Hmm.
This is what this is one of the great frustrations, is to get people to understand the idea of simultaneous time, and to stop
Hmm.
thinking, if you wish for growth, to stop thinking in terms of time and centuries and years and whatever. Now, it's happening right now. It happened now. Now, as far as who did the manipulation, what does it matter? You agreed to it. You agreed to it. So it doesn't matter who did it. What you want to know is, did an alien race do it? Maybe. What reality do you wish to inhabit? Uh, Again, the probabilities and the possibilities are endless.
Hmm.
So you can live in, or create, or believe, or understand the reality in which an alien race did this, or you can believe that it was humanity, scientists who did it. You can believe that it was human beings from what you would consider to be the future, who came back in time and did this. And
Hmm.
there are endless probabilities. Which one do you wish to believe?
All of them.
Well, there you go. You see, it is impossible, if we are being truthful with you, and if we are being realistic with you, it is impossible to give you these type of specific answers,
Understood.
because so many of them exist, and we know it
Right.
would be a comfort to you. We understand that, and we know there are many mm, such as us, who, when they go through a channel or a medium or whatever, they give you all kinds of specifics, and they say, "Oh, you were, I don't know, you were a pharaoh in Egypt in the year whatever, or this happened at this particular time," because they are trying to deal. They have to go through the channel, yes, and
Hmm.
things get manipulated,
Hmm.
changed, but trying to give you some kind of understanding that you will accept. And many will not accept what we have to say. Some will say,
Correct.
"Well, this entity is bonkers.
Hmm.
How can this be?" Speaking of multiple realities and multiple this, it's so foreign to them. But we feel that those of you who are most likely to hear these messages are advanced enough to understand, accept, or at the very least consider them.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Good.
Thank you.
Yes. Are there more questions? We ask because this one's back is beginning to hurt, and she does not generally feel pain when we are engaged with her. So this means she's tiring.
Mm-hmm.
So if there are
Agree.
other questions, let us take care of them right now, please. No, then we are complete. And if you think of something, you can send those messages to this one, and we will speak again.
Thank you.
A fond good evening to all of you.
Thank you very much, Eve. Looking forward
Yes.
to seeing you again, or hearing you again.